Parshaw. I'm the founder, author, and CEO of Monopolize Your Marketplace, and I'd like to thank you for joining us for our Remodelers Marketing Essentials webinar series. This is, I believe, our 8th webinar that we've done in this series, so I'd like to thank those of you who have participated in multiple webinars over the past several months. And if this is your first webinar, I'd like to welcome you and thank you for coming out as well. Today's topic is the Non-Nerd's Guide to SEO, pay-per-click, and social media with a heavy emphasis on non-nerds. I am going to explain things to you about these topics in a way that will actually make sense to you. I'm assuming that you are a remodeling contractor, either a business owner or some sort of a marketing person within those companies. And my experience is that most of the time when people open their mouths and start talking about these topics, what ensues is a bunch of jibber-jabber that's very difficult to understand, is designed to confuse you more than to help you understand, and is generally just not that helpful. So we're going to turn that tide, and we're going to explain this in a way that actually makes sense. So with that backdrop, let's go ahead and get started on the webinar. The first thing I want to do is thank our sponsors for being not just sponsors, but also being on the webinar today. We do have 5 sponsors, and we will be hearing from each of them in turn, a few of them here in just a moment, and then a couple of them later on in the webinar. Please do, if you have any ability whatsoever to do so, utilize and do business with these companies. If we do not have sponsors, we do not have a webinar. So you can thank them for making this possible, and I would encourage you to go to the sponsor that invited you to this webinar today after the webinar, and please send them a note of thanks. Just a quick email will suffice, letting them know that you appreciate them putting the time, effort, and money into sponsoring events like this, and letting them know your thoughts on today's webinar in particular. We're going to be doing a couple of giveaways towards the middle and then again at the end of the webinar. The first thing we'll do is in the middle of the webinar, we'll stop for a break to hear from a couple of our sponsors, and we will give away 2 books, Monopolize Your Marketplace, at that time. Our lucky winners will receive 1 book each, and we'll send them out via UPS, and I won't autograph them. It doesn't really make them any more valuable. We'll also be giving away a couple of CD programs at the end. This is our Remodeling Contractor Marketing Bootcamp, and we'll give away a couple of these at the end of the webinar as well. This is a 10 CD program that covers all of the important topics for remodelers. We normally sell it for $399, and if you stick around, must be present to win, you can maybe win one of these at the end of the webinar. So stick around for that. Now let's do this. Let's hear from a couple of our sponsors as we get started. We're going to hear from, well, we're going to hear from 2.5, and the reason it's 2.5 and not 3 is because one of our sponsors, due to some medical problems, was not able to be on the webinar today. So I'll tell you a little bit about them. But first, I do want you to hear from, well, let's see, Qualified Remodeler. Let me find Rob. There you are. Rob, are you there?
I am, Rich. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for being on the webinar and, more importantly, being a part of the webinars in terms of sponsors and so forth. I do want to thank you for that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Qualified Remodeler and some of the things you've got coming up?
Sure. Qualified Remodeler is the original magazine in the remodeling market, and we've been around for almost 40 years, and I'm happy to serve the readers through our magazine and also in ways like sponsoring this webinar today to support education for the industry is a fantastic thing to do, and I thank you, Rich, for allowing us to be a part of it. And for those people who know Rich and will be at the remodeling show in Chicago, Rich, is it okay if I reveal the news?
Please do.
Sure. Well, Rich is going to be our keynote speaker at the night before the remodeling show at our recognition night for our top 500 and Master Design Award winners. Rich will be speaking about 7:15 on October 16th for about 30 minutes, getting the crowd all fired up. So we're looking forward to having Rich be a part of that. And again, thanks a lot for allowing us to be a sponsor. Have a good webinar.
All right, thanks, Rob. I appreciate that and the opportunity to speak at that keynote. It'll be very exciting. I've participated in that several years ago, so it'll be good to be going back. Also, for those of you who are not aware, I do write a blog on the topic of marketing for Qualified Remodeler. It appears on their website, so if you want to go look that up, I think the most recent article, I don't even know if it's been published yet. I just wrote an article about why you stink at marketing, and maybe you'll find that interesting. Okay, thanks for that, Rob. Next, let's talk about Gutter Covers International. Tony Michaels was to be with us. He does have some medical issues that have prevented him from being here today. So I do want to just take a minute and, number one, thank Gutter Covers International. This is the same company that makes Gutter Topper, but I want to thank them for being a sponsor and let you know a little bit about their company. This is an interesting company, and as you probably know, I've been to the remodeling show before and done the deal where you walk around and see all the exhibitors, and there's like 17 different guys that are there with their little roofs with rain coming down on them and their gutter covers and all that stuff. And they're all, in my opinion, just about the same, and all of them have the exact same sales pitch, which is this. Ours is the best, and it's the only one that actually does the job. This is a refreshing company. It was started by a guy named Tony Iannelli, who still runs it. Tony Michaels works with him, so the two Tonys. And Tony Iannelli developed a fantastic product called Gutter Topper. You may have heard of it, and found that it worked in almost all situations, but there were a few situations where it was not optimal, depending on the types of trees and the type of weather and the type of situation and the type of roofing and the angle of the roofing. So he developed, I think now in total, either 5 or 6 different products, including Gutter Topper and the Needle Beetle, and you've got 5 different ones. You can go to their website. It's on the screen right now. Look it up. But it was so refreshing to hear a guy say, you know what, we've got a great product and it works in most situations, but in situations where it doesn't work, we're not going to lie to you and tell you it does, and we're going to go develop products that will work in those situations. So it's really a complete solution that allows you to go to your customers and say, look, we can handle this, we've got it covered, and they literally have different products for whatever situation your customers may have. So I would encourage you, if at all possible, to take a look at Gutter Covers International. And I'll give you an opportunity at the end via an online poll that we'll take to express interest in some of these companies, and you can designate which ones you'd like to learn more about. So there will be an easy mechanism for you to find out more about some of these companies. But that's Gutter Covers International. Next is First General. This is our last sponsor that we'll hear from right now. Then we'll jump into the webinar content itself. Then we'll hear from a couple others later on in the middle part of the webinar. First General is a property restoration franchise, and we are going to hear from, I'm not sure who we're going to hear from. In fact, we're not going to hear from anybody because I don't have them queued up. So let me just tell you a little bit about them. Property restoration, a couple of things about this that are very interesting. Number one, it's a franchise model. The number one thing people always want to know about franchises is, why should I pay you for the ability to offer your services when I could just do it myself? Well, they've got some fantastic marketing programs that drives leads. They've also got relationships with companies that drives leads, and it's all about driving leads. And this is an important concept, as you're obviously aware, is how do we get the leads. The great thing about restoration services is it allows you to have customers that have a high degree of urgency, and it allows your margins, therefore, to be a little bit higher, and it allows you to close deals quicker and, again, with more urgency. So this is a fantastic company. Go to firstgeneralnorthamerica.com. Take a look at it. Check it out. And if you're interested in this franchise, please express interest by filling it out on the poll that I'll give you at the end of this webinar. Okay, let's do this now. Let's take a poll to get started. Now, this is not the poll that I just referenced. This is a different poll about SEO. As we launch into this topic, here's what I want to know. I want to know who handles your SEO. So I'm going to launch this poll, and please answer the question. Who handles your SEO? First choice is nobody, really. We don't do any SEO. Another one I hear quite a bit is the company that built our website is supposed to do it, and it's not really happening. We do it ourselves, and it's not really working. We hired an SEO company, but it's not really working. And then the final option is, we hired an SEO company and it's working well. And we'll see if the answers that you give here are consistent with the answers that I hear when I ask this question in seminars all over the place all the time. So let's see here. We need just a few more voters, and then I'll close the poll. And, yeah, this is pretty consistent with what I see. So let me give you a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right. Now let me share the results. And, you know, this is very consistent. Look at this. We got a full quarter of you that just don't even address the topic. All right. We got another quarter of you that think someone's supposed to doing it, but it's not really happening. And then we got another quarter that either are doing it themselves and it's not working, or they hired somebody, and then just 21% that actually feel like they've got a handle on it. So this is very common. There's a big need for this. So that's probably why we're on this webinar today, a lot of you, to find out more about this. So let's see how this goes as we roll on throughout this. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to the heart of the matter. I'm just going to do a quick check to make sure that everything is looking like it should on the screen. Okay, the changing world of marketing. And we're going to just give you a little bit of overview about a few things before we jump into SEO. In the old days, if you wanted to look something up online, you had to go to your computer, you had to dial in, and you had to wait for it to connect, and you had to be at your computer to be able to get information. Then the laptop came along, but the laptop really had limited ability because it wasn't internet connected unless you plugged it into a wire. Wireless internet didn't really become standard for most people's homes until about 2007 or 8. Then the iPhone was the first real, true smartphone that was easy to browse the internet and get information. And then, of course, Steve Jobs introduced the iPad and the iPad mini. And here's what we know is that the world is now literally in our pocket. You can find anything. And this has significantly changed the world of marketing. The days of throwing an ad in the paper and waiting for it to ring just don't really work anymore. Now, I had an experience with this. It says on the screen, Kevin Bacon is killing your advertising. I was watching TV, and an advertisement came on for a TV show starring Kevin Bacon. This was earlier this year. And I looked at the commercial, and I said to my wife, who was sitting next to me, I said, man, look at Kevin Bacon. The dude is hammered. How old is he now? She took out her iPhone, and within about probably 5 to 10 seconds, she was telling me exactly how old Kevin Bacon was, down to the day. I think he was around 20,000 days old. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. Things that in the past you would have never really pursued. You might have wondered and thought about it, but you never would have pursued the information. I mean, 10 years ago, literally, would you really have sat down at your computer and tried to find out how old Kevin Bacon was? But now, in this new information age, and it's a new information age, and this is very recent. This is since 2007. The Internet is literally at people's fingertips, and it has massively, massively, massively changed the way that marketing happens, particularly for you in the home improvement industry. People now have easier access to instant information. Here's what would happen. Before, if you would place an ad in the paper or in the TV, radio, Valpak, anything you want to think of, you place the ad, 10 people would call, right? Well, what happens now? If you place that same ad, here's what's going to happen. 2 people are still going to call from the ad, but 4 people are going to get an idea and search online before they even see your ad. Your only chance to capture them is via search. In other words, this is what I call Kevin Bacon got him. It's the same thing as me sitting there on the couch saying, man, I wonder how old Kevin Bacon is. You've now got people that are sitting there going, man, I'd like to remodel my kitchen. They pull out their phone and they start Googling. You can even ask Siri to find it for you. Or they get on their laptop while they're watching TV, or they're laying in bed on their iPad, whatever the case is. These people get the idea to get new siding, to do their roof, to do whatever it is, windows, anything you sell, and they search it. And if you don't show up in those search results and you don't have a website that converts, you're dead meat. You're dead meat. And we had a poll just a minute ago that said 25% of you aren't even addressing the issue at all, and another 50% that have tried but have failed. 79% of the people on my poll today said it ain't working. and these people aren't finding you. Now, 3 people are going to see your ad. They're going to look you up online, and they're going to not convert. Now, this is something I'm going to address briefly as we get started. And then we've also got one who does see your ad, searches online, and calls you. But look at this one where it says 3. People saw your ad, looked you up online, and didn't convert. Now, guess what happens when they don't convert? They start looking for other options. It's not like the need or the thought or the desire goes away. They just didn't like you. So they keep looking. It's like online dating. You see someone that looks ugly, you keep looking, right? You keep looking. So this search function is so critical, and you know that already, and I know you know that already, but I want to put this in real terms that you can appreciate in your business. When here's the real issue. The ad isn't working, and people come to me all the time and say, hey, Rich, how do I make my ads work better? And I want you to know that how do I make my ad work better is not even really the operable question anymore. Because no matter how good your ad works, it's only a small portion of the process anymore. The internet is massive, and if you don't have a website that converts and you don't have the ability for people to find you on the internet, you are dead meat. Oh, no, that's not true, Rich. We got lots of business. People come to us. We got referrals, and we got past customers. Great. That's fantastic. But if you don't solve this issue, as time goes on, you will die on the vine while your competitors take all of this traffic and convert it into business. See, what happens is people look at this slide right now on the screen and they go, well, just there's not as many people buying anymore. Not true. They're buying. Now you get 3 calls instead of 10. We need to get it back up to 10 and even more. So there's 4 principles that make 80% of the difference that have to be tackled in order, no exceptions, in order to make your marketing work. The first one is to forge a unique, memorable, and powerful identity. Now, I'm going to talk about this briefly by way of review in just a minute because it's so important, it's so critical to everything that you do in your marketing. This is the topic that I'm going to be covering at the keynote at the Qualified Remodeler Awards Banquet in October. It's absolutely paramount that you get this right, but I've only got a couple minutes to cover it today. So hopefully if you've not heard it, you can go back, review some of the previous webinars. The second thing is winning the battle of the now buyers. This is what we're going to talk about today, getting people to find you and convert and call you online. This is where the business is, winning the battle of the now buyers. The third thing, we're not going to cover this today, pre-positioning your prospects, eliminating sales resistance. If you do these 3 things, then you can invest your profits in relationship building advertising. These are the 4 things that you need to master in your marketing. We're going to briefly touch on number 1, and then we're going to concentrate today on number 2, which is the battle of the now buyers. Okay? Here's what we find. Most marketing is full of platitudes. If you've been with me before, this may be a review. Stick with me just for a couple of minutes while I go through this for the people who have not been with me before. Platitudes are words or phrases that are drearily commonplace, predictable, that lack power to evoke interest through overuse and repetition, that are nevertheless stated if they were original or significant. Best service, highest quality, largest selection. Now, if you've been with me before and you're seeing me go through this and you've seen me go through it before and you're wondering why I'm doing it again, it's extraordinarily important. Here's why you need to understand this. If you excel at search and you do everything that we're going to talk about today and you really master it, but your website isn't any good, it's all for naught. It's not going to matter if you're good at search if your website can't convert. And the way that you get your website to convert, number 1, first and foremost, numero uno, is to put a strong identity into your website, okay? Here's the definition of identity. Words, phrases, and images articulated with power, precision, and passion that instantly, definitively communicate who you are, how you're different and better, and what customers can expect when doing business with you. This is what your website has got to contain. An identity is not your reputation. It's not what your customers know you for. It's not all the reasons that you're better than everyone else. Those are all the foundation for your identity. But you cannot simply say, we have a good reputation in the community, therefore we have a strong identity. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something in marketing that communicates those things instantly and definitively, that you're different, that you're better, that you're worth more money than your competitors, and it lets people know what they can expect when doing business with you. Put it this way, if somebody has never heard of you before and they only can look at your ad, or they can only look at your website, or they can only look at your home show materials, Can they tell who you are, how you're different, how you're better? This is the essence of your identity, okay? And we've got to formulate this and put it into your marketing, including and especially your website. Here's a good example of a crummy identity. ASAP Construction, Anderson Windows. For professional window installation in Austin, no one beats ASAP Construction. Our Austin window replacement team is experienced, and we guarantee you will be satisfied with your new windows. Now, here's an interesting little anecdote for you about this website. This is the #1 first thing that comes up on organic search, SEO, organic search, when you type in replacement windows into Austin, or at least it was when I did this exercise. It's been a little while, maybe a year or a year and a half ago. It might be different today. But at that time, this was the #1 thing that came up. Now, that's good because it came up. Although, here's what's bad. Look at this website. This is not going to convert people. So here's what happens. This is why people give up on the Internet. This is why people minimize the importance of the Internet. This is why people get discouraged and conclude that this whole Internet thing doesn't work. And this is why 79% of you have not figured this out, is because even if you do well in search and you've got a website that's like this, let's face it and let's say it very plainly what it really is, a steaming pile of dung, it doesn't convert. And non-converted Internet browsers are worthless. They're not worthless. They're less than worthless because you spent time and effort and energy to get people that didn't convert. So you actually, it's like a negative return. This is not going to cut it. This is not going to work. Here's another example, Pella. They got a great brand. Everybody's heard of them. Yeah, man, this is great, fantastic. But you know what? The website isn't strong. It doesn't convert. There's no identity. What is the identity? What can you expect instantly, definitively when doing business with Pella? Make replacement easy. Built, sold, installed by Pella. Ready for new windows and doors but don't know where to begin? Pella helps make store and replacement virtually effortless, from helping you select the products that fit your needs to installing them to hauling your old windows away. Well, what in the heck is any window company going to do besides help you find the right window, install it, and haul your old ones away? That's what window companies do, and they've not captured any kind of identity of who they are, what they do, or why they're different, or why they're better. They're simply riding on a reputation, and I'm telling you, it's not strong enough in today's environment where people are looking and spending their money very wisely by researching and finding out, and it's your job, it's incumbent upon you to make sure that this happens with a strong identity on your website. Okay? How do you create an identity? 3 quick steps, and then we're going to get into this SEO stuff that I know you're here to hear about mostly. But again, I'm doing you a disservice if I tell you how to master SEO, but you've got a website that stinks and people show up and don't convert. It doesn't work. You can't just take one but not the other. They've got to be handled together in harmony, or else you're in big trouble, okay? First thing, what makes your company tick? What do you do that your customers like? What do you take pride in? What makes you better? What makes you different? What are you really, really good at? What do you want to be written on your tombstone? That sounds a little morbid. Oh, you know, your company's going to die. That's not what it means. Here's what it means. A tombstone is where you have a very short amount of space to write something extremely profound and encompassing about the individual. What do you want written on your company's tombstone? Profound, encompassing about your business. What are you unwilling to fudge on? Okay? What makes you tick? Answer these questions. Write it down. Next, step 2, build a case. Imagine you were being put on trial and you had to prove that you were blank. Now, here's what goes in the blank. It's whatever you came up with on the first step of what makes you tick. We're really, really good at high quality. Our installations are the best. We've got the most experienced people. Whatever it is. Now, put it in this blank. If you were put on trial and you had to prove that you were a remodeling company that paid really close attention to detail and therefore delivered extraordinarily high quality, could you prove it? What evidence could you produce to prove it? What stories could you tell to back it up? This is called witnesses, right? Expert witnesses, bring them in. Could you provide the witnesses? Be specific, no platitudes. In court, you can't get away with platitudes. You can't say, well, I was out at the time of the crime. Well, where were you? I was just out. Well, who are you with? I was with my friends. You're going to get eaten alive by the jury and by the prosecuting attorney. If you're a defendant and you don't have specific answers to their questions, generalities and platitudes will kill you. Specificity, detail, stories, evidence will support your case, and that's what we've got to find to put into this thing called identity. Step 1 was what makes you tick. Number 2 is building a case, and number 3, this is it, final step, Write it with power, passion, and precision. Like an attorney, right? If you've got a great attorney who has all the information, but it doesn't have the power of oratory to move the jury, then it's not going to work. When you speak with power, people will believe you're powerful. They'll be drawn to you. They won't question your character, and you will stand out from the crowd. This is what we need to have happen in our marketing, and particularly for today's topic, for today's discussion, on your website, okay? So here's a case study for you. This is a remodeling company. Very quickly, I'll go through this, and then, like I said, we're going to hop right over into that other stuff that I know you were here mostly to hear about, which is SEO and pay-per-click. A little bit of social media is going to be thrown in there, too. Revive Remodeling, Portland, Oregon, the typical kind of website. This is a guy who is really good at what he does. He's been doing it for a long time. His customers love him. He's detail-oriented. He's meticulous. He gets things done right. He insists on high quality. He's very demanding with his crews, like a lot of other remodelers. I mean, he's good at what he does, and this is his website, but it doesn't really communicate that. I mean, look what it says in the middle. We strive to make your remodeling experience not just satisfactory, but to exceed your expectations. Remember Charlie Brown's mom and the cartoons that were on TV? Wah, 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 wah. That's what this sounds like. It's just a bunch of junk. It's platitudes. What we need is an identity. Here's what it looks like in the website. Persnickety, demanding, hard to please, picky, then I'm the remodeler for you. I'm not the fastest. I am not the cheapest. I am, however, according to my customers, the best. In remodeling, it's all about the details, and I'm obsessed with them. Why? Because I'd rather do it right rather than right now. It takes time to do things properly, and I refuse to compromise quality for speed. I'm not the fastest, and I'm not the cheapest, but according to my customers, I exceed their expectations with the final result. We've got a little box here. It says my cell phone number is. Feel free to interrupt my dinner. Wake me up at 2 a.m. Make me leave home early for my vacation. My only concern is that your job is 100% exactly right, period. Then we've got some things on the right-hand side. I won't go into detail right now, but these are evidences and conversion tools that help people be drawn into this website and believe the argument that's being made, okay? This is identity-based. Again, the reason I'm going through this one more time is because it is literally the keystone of your marketing program. If you don't have it, everything else crumbles and fails and falls apart. If you've got great SEO, but you don't have an identity, it's all for naught, okay? Very quickly, 2 more examples, and then we'll hop into SEO. Incognito custom closets. If you read the paragraph on the bottom right-hand side, I don't want to do it because it makes me angry to read it. It's again Charlie Brown's mom. It's a bunch of platitudes. It doesn't communicate anything. We work with this company. We came up with this. There's a reason over 4,300 families have trusted Incognito since 1994. We always insist on doing every job exactly right. No flimsy hardware, drawer glides, or hinges ever. No cheap fiberboard or wood or cheesy laminates. Every project custom measured, constructed, and installed. No fast prefab kits with clumsy fit. And then again, multiple types of conversion tools on the right-hand side there. I won't go into this in detail. It's not the main topic today, but I do want to cover it briefly. Here's a company called James Markey. Call today. Welcome to James T. Markey Home Remodeling, LLC. We're New Jersey's choice for quality replacement windows, home improvement. Our business has always been family-owned and operated for more than 27 years. We've served your community with pride and integrity. This is the pinnacle of platitudes, okay? It means nothing to anybody. I talked to the guy, found out what his deal was. They have very low overhead, and they have the ability to offer good prices on high-quality products. So we came up with this. I'm not going to just tell you that we have superior products at reasonable prices. I'm going to show you exactly how we do it. The best money windows can buy for $50 to $250 less than anywhere else. Kitchen and bath remodeling with 40% less markup than others charge. Others cut corners to offer lower prices. We use a combination of high volume sales, no advertising, and really low overhead. Now, here's the thing I want you to think about. If you were looking for windows and you found this web page after you searched, would this draw you in? And the answer, I'm telling you definitively, is yes. And we know this because we test it, we see it, and the results speak for themselves. Your identity becomes the hub of your business. Your website, your ads, your pre-positioning, home shows, everything is keyed on your identity, okay? And mostly, particularly, especially today's discussion, your website, because when people search and they find you, you'd better convert, okay? Now, so here's where we wanted to end up, and we're gonna get to this right now. Driving traffic. If you have a site worth visiting, If you don't have a site worth visiting, none of this matters. You can just tune out. If you do have a site worth visiting, first priority, search engine optimization. You want your company to come up on the first page when people search for relevant terms. It takes time, it takes know-how, it takes ongoing TLC. I'm going to show you what the components are today, right now. The second priority is pay-per-click advertising. It's a faster way to show up in search. Costs more money. You still have to have know-how, but it is something worthwhile. Okay? So let's start with a search for Columbus, Ohio basement finishing. And let me just show you up here at the top with the red rectangle around it. This is these are paid search ads. Pay-per-click and paid search are synonymous. This means that these companies paid to have their ads appear there. Also, on the right-hand side, we've got more ads. Now, if you've Google searched before, you already know this. Hang on just one second. I need to deal with a little noise here. There we go. Dealt with. Okay. And then over here, we've got what is called organic search results. Okay. So paid search and organic search. What we're trying to accomplish in this discussion right now is to get your company to appear in these organic search results. And it's not magic, and it's not voodoo, and it's not some kind of mystery how to do it. I'm going to tell you exactly how it works right now. Okay? Now, here's what you need to know as we get started on this. You may have heard people, when they talk about search engine optimization, they like to throw the word algorithm out. Now, I'm going to talk about Google a lot. There's other search engines out there. There's Bing and there's Yahoo, which are actually based on the same platform. But Google is really where most of the search is going. So when I say Google, I mean search. But just for convenience, I'm going to use the word Google, okay? Is everybody all right with that? If that is offensive to you because you're a Microsoft person and you love Bing, that's okay. Deal with it for the webinar. People talk about this thing called algorithms, and they say it's impossible to know what Google is going to do. They change these algorithms. Now, an algorithm is a formula that is used by Google to figure out which websites should appear high and which websites should appear low in the search rankings. And a lot of companies that do search engine optimization, they want you as a business person to not understand how this works so that they can keep the knowledge on their side of the table so that they can control the information so that you don't have any ability to understand what's going on, because they will have poor results potentially, and then they'll blame it on Google's algorithms. And they'll say, well, Google changes these algorithms all the time. And I want you to know that if you understand how Google really works, you don't have to worry about the algorithms. They're not a problem, and I'll explain that to you in just a second. I want you to know that results follow natural, simple principles, okay? Now, let's look at it this way. What if you were trying to lose weight, and you were standing on the scale, and it said help, and you needed to do something about that? Let me ask you this. How do you lose weight? What are the simple, natural principles of weight loss? Now, not necessarily easy to do it, but there's simple, natural principles, and there's probably two major components. The first one is you've got to eat right, and the second one is you've got to exercise, okay? And it's just a little collage here showing diet and exercise. This is the key to good health. Now, when it comes to search engine optimization, it's very similar. Now, you don't have to exercise and eat good to get to do well on search engine optimization, but I want you to know that the principles that govern who shows up high in search and who shows up low are very simple and easy to understand, and they're not that hard to do. You've just got to understand what it is that Google wants. So if you could look inside Google's brain and find out what they wanted to make a search, to make a company show up high, ask yourself this question: what are they looking for? Now, ask yourself this question. I'm going to toggle this back and forth a couple times to make the point super, super clear. If your brain was trying to figure out how to lose weight, what does it need? It needs good nutrition, and it needs exercise. Google has a need. What is it? This is an important question. Here's what Google wants. And the cynical answer is, well, they want to make money. That's the second thing they want. The first thing they want is they want to make sure that people find what they're searching for. Because if they don't, then their whole business model falls apart. Their revenue model is based on people finding what they want. Imagine if you went to Google and searched and you didn't find what you wanted. After a while, a short while, you'd quit using Google. So they've got to figure out what websites really, truly, honestly have information that people want. And they've got computer programs that are trying to figure it out. This is where these algorithms come into place. But if you understand that the things that are desirable for people to see and find and look at when they search for something are constant, then it's easy to understand how to feed Google what it wants, okay? Now, here's what we see. A lot of times, companies, SEO companies, try to trick Google by using what's called black hat techniques. Now, to use our analogy one more time of exercise, think of all the different kinds of gimmicks and gizmos and fads that are trying to get you to lose weight without just using the natural principles. The natural principles are well, just eat healthy and exercise. But no, they've got to have all these pills and all these gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys and weird things that try to get you to lose weight. In SEO, there's lots of companies that use shortcuts to try to get you to rank well with Google. And you've got to avoid these. And I'm not giving you this list so that you become an expert on this list, but I just want you to realize that this is pervasive and it happens a lot out there. Trying to fool the search engines into thinking that you're more valuable than you are. It creates a poor user experience, and when there's a poor user experience, Google knows that. I'll tell you how they know that a little bit later. But they know that, and they won't feed that page to the people that are searching for what you're selling. Google finds out when page visits are short or non-existent. So, in other words, there's something called a bounce rate in internet lingo. A bounce rate is when somebody goes to a web page, but then they immediately hit the back button and they go away from that page. Do you think that Google knows that or doesn't know that? Do you think Google knows how long people stay on websites, on web pages on websites, or do you think that Google doesn't know that? Here's the short answer. They know it. And if you use a bunch of black hat techniques trying to fool Google, and people go to those web pages and they stay for a very short amount of time because the information found thereon is a bunch of junk, guess what happens? Google says that's not good, and they push that company's website down, down, down. Things like keyword stuffing. Keyword stuffing is when you put the words that you want people to find and that people are searching on your web page multiple times. Now, don't get too bogged down in this. Again, this is just sort of a preface of some things not to do. I'm going to tell you what to do here in just a second. I'm going to spend the most amount of time there. But keyword stuffing is very, very common. And you see this with geographic terms. So a company might say, we finished basements in Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Central Ohio, and then they might list other additional towns. And then they'll list them again. But see, here's what you've got to understand. You've got two different audiences that you're trying to communicate with when you write content for a web page. Audience number one is Google, but audience number two is humans. And Google knows when humans are having a bad experience on your page. Even if you, quote unquote, fool Google into thinking that, hey, this is good information on this page that people want to see, if people vote with their back button that they're not interested in that page, Google will make a note of that and push it down. Keyword stuffing is not good. There's articles out there. You can go look this stuff up about what density of keywords should you have. In other words, out of 100 words in a paragraph, how many of them should be keywords? And if it starts getting over a certain percentage, it starts to read unnaturally. I'm going to encourage you to not worry about any of that stuff. I'm going to encourage you to write content that people want without regard to the keyword density, because Google will know that it's the right stuff. Invisible text. This is putting white text on a white background so that Google can read it, but people can't. Google hates that. Doorway pages. These are pages that have invisible links to them that people can't see, so nobody ever actually clicks on them, but Google sees that the page is there and has content on it, and it gives ostensibly a higher ranking, but Google frowns upon that. Here's what you need to know about these algorithms, these formulas that Google uses to determine website rankings. The algorithms are primarily there to sniff out the cheaters, to weight against the people using black hat techniques, and to find companies that are not playing by the rules and to punish them. If you are doing the things that Google wants, it will naturally raise you up. And you don't have to worry that the things that Google likes will change over time. I'm going to show you what the things are that Google likes. Right here, coding, content, keywords, links, and social. This is what I call the SEO pyramid. If you create this stuff, this is the stuff that Google likes, it will never go out of style. It'll never go out of fashion. Google will never change its algorithm to say, well, you know, we really don't want content anymore. It will always want content, because here's why. Because content simply means there's stuff now on a website that people, humans, okay, actually want to read. And if people actually want to read it and it's actually good content, then Google's going to like that, and no algorithm that Google ever comes up with will ever change that. Are you following what I'm saying? It's diet and exercise for losing weight. This is the plan. This is the diet and exercise of SEO right here on this pyramid. But instead of 2 things, diet and exercise, it's now what? 5 things, okay? So let's talk about each of these in a little bit of detail, and I'm going to do it in a format that is easy for you to understand, okay? So I'll put a little pyramid over there so you can still see it. The first thing is coding. Now, I'm going to encourage you to not do this yourself. I'm going to encourage you to have an SEO company do this. This is code that's invisible to humans. It's stuff that's in the background of the website. It's analytics. It's stuff like meta and header tags. And I put all this text on here not because I want to read it, not because I want to confuse you. I just want you to see that it's kind of complex stuff, okay? This is why it says on the pyramid, it's in red. Look at it up there in the upper right-hand corner of this slide. It's in red, and it says nerd next to it. Here's what that means. You've got to get a nerd to do this stuff. This isn't something that you want to learn. This isn't something that you want to do. This is stuff that you need to leave to the nerds, okay? Other technical stuff you don't understand. There's coding involved in getting a website ready for Google to index, okay? It's pretty straightforward, okay? I look at it like this. This is a diagram of a shelf that you can build from IKEA. And I'm putting this on here because I want to just draw a very quick, short analogy to help you understand this. The coding process for a website is fairly straightforward, and as long as somebody has and understands the instructions, they can do it. The problem is that the instructions are fairly technical, they're fairly complex, more like the ones that you see on my screen now, so it's not something that you really want to do. But the nerds that know how to do this, it's not that hard to do it right. Are you following my point here? If you're qualified and understand how to do this stuff, if you're a nerd, it's pretty easy to get it right. If you're not qualified to do it, then you probably want to just leave it to somebody that can. Now, here's the conclusion of all that talk I just had. There's a ton of nerds out there that know how to do this coding. And a lot of the people that build websites, remember one of the choices I gave you on our poll earlier was the company that built our website said they were going to do it? Well, here's what that usually means. That means that the company that built your website did this coding. But as you're going to see here in just a minute, this is only the foundation of the SEO pyramid. If you stop here, you're in big, fat trouble. It's not going to work for you long term. This is merely a foundation. It has to be done. There's a ton of people that can do it. It's not even that hard or expensive to do it. I think we charge something like $1,500 to have our nerds do it. It's not that expensive. But if you stop here, you're in big trouble, okay? So let's go to the next thing, which is content. So coding was the bottom. Content is next. Your SEO foundation should be built on great content. Content. Think about this. If somebody comes to your website and they read a bunch of Charlie Brown's mother's discussion of platitudinal junk, then people are going to read that and go, this is terrible. And if you write that kind of content for your website, you will quickly run out of things to say because it's really hard to write page after page after page of platitudinal junk. You just run out of stuff to say because you can't think of anything. Here's what people want. They want real information. They want bona fide information. They want decision facilitating information. You've got to remember that the vast, vast, vast majority of all the people that will ever buy from you, they've never bought this stuff before. They've never remodeled their kitchen. They've never replaced their windows. They've never put siding on their house before. They don't know anything about it. So take some of this 3 hours worth of information that you sit in their house and pound them with in a normal sales meeting and put it over here on the website so that they can read it and understand it and compare and contrast and understand and facilitate their decision-making process. And if you do this, number one, people will like it, but number 2, Google will like it. But the reason that Google will like it, here goes a circle, is because people like it. And if you've got content on your website that people like, then Google's going to like that. And a couple things are going to happen. Number 1, you're going to raise in the search rankings. And number 2, people are going to find what they want, and they're going to understand who you are and what you do. And you're going to start to build a case, and your identity is going to shine clear, and people are going to want to do business with you. Do you see how this perpetuates itself in a positive direction? Whereas if you don't have this information, or if you have lousy information, or if you have incomplete information, it now pushes down. It's a dwindling spiral. Okay? You don't have to try to fool the search engines with fake content, like we talked about. You want content that people actually want to read. People will want to forward it, link to it, post it. Okay? Here's some kinds of content that you can create. First of all, write articles. Think of topics that would help facilitate people making an informed decision about buying what you sell. Now, we're going to have a discussion here in just a minute about keywords, and I'm going to show you how to find. I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm going to discuss the topic of finding keywords and phrases that people are searching for, so that you can now create content around those keywords. Okay? So think about articles. Number 2, blog postings. Really just an informal article. Be creative, fun, interesting. Be observant. Customer reviews. Collect these and post these frequently. This becomes content. Galleries and descriptions. Show and tell what you can do for your customers. Now, just a word here for you on this. Don't just simply put galleries of pictures of stuff on your website. That's good. It's a start. It helps. But also make sure that you take time to explain what people are looking for and what you've done and what should be noticed in those photographs. This is number 1. It's indexable content for Google, who's going to love it. And number 2, it's great information for humans who are also going to love it. Also, videos. People love videos. Create them, and people will visit your site often. Now, you got to be careful with this. I'm not a big proponent of massive videos to do the heavy lifting. But if you've got videos, that's good. And one of the things that's good about videos is if you put them on YouTube, Google actually owns YouTube, and that's a positive thing. Okay? What to do with your content and what not to do with your content. Don't keyword stuff your articles or web pages like we just talked about. You don't need to put the word vinyl siding 72 times in a 3-paragraph posting. It's dumb. It makes no sense. Google and people hate it. Don't use word scramblers to create crappy content that you think Google will like. Here's what people do. They take an article, and there's something called a word scrambler. Basically, it's a program that you put a paragraph of text in, and it puts a bunch of synonyms in for words. And so it comes out reading kind of like a zombie paragraph. But a lot of people do this because they want content, and they think, hey, if I get a lot of content, Google knows when content's not good. Okay? Here's what you need to understand about Google. Google knows everything. Everything. Remember 1984 with Big Brother? Big Brother's got nothing on Google. Google's like Big Brother's Big Brother, okay? Don't copy articles from somewhere else. This is a big no-no. You think that if there's a company in a state all the way across the country and you take their article, they probably won't know, and that might be true, but Google will know. Google will see that article and go, hey, that's the same article as this company over there, because it's that smart. And it's also going to know who had the article first, and it's going to penalize the one that copied it. Don't do that, okay? Do add fresh content as often as possible. Do hand your content to your SEO nerd so they can post it in the most SEO-friendly way. There's some tags and some things that they need to put on that content so that it is most search engine friendly, okay? Now let's move up the SEO pyramid to keywords. Keywords, words and phrases relevant to your products or services or industry that will be people will be using for Google searches. If somebody searches James Hardy plank siding, Google will give priority to pages that have James Hardy plank siding on those pages. So it's incumbent upon you to understand what the right search terms are that people are using. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on this and say, here's exactly how you do that. This is something that's a little bit more advanced, but I do want you to know that there's tools out there. You can search for them easily online. But this is something you might want to leave to your nerds, but here's what you don't want to leave to your nerds. You want them to generate a list of words, keywords, but then you want to make sure that you've got somebody who understands marketing that's writing the content, okay? A couple of pointers on keywords. Keywords are not usually words. They're usually phrases. Vinyl siding might spawn vinyl siding styles, vinyl shake siding, Alcoa vinyl siding, vinyl siding prices, vinyl siding installation, types of vinyl siding colors. And again, there's tools that allow us to find these different keywords and phrases. Now here's the interesting thing. If we find that vinyl siding installation is a popular keyword, then it would be incumbent upon us to write articles and blog postings that talk about vinyl siding installation or colors or Alcoa or shake siding or whatever the case is, so that now these keywords are now being indexed as a match for pages on our website. Do you see how this works? This will never change. Google's never going to come back someday with their big bad algorithm and say, well, you know, we don't really care if the keywords match. Of course the keywords have to match. This is like diet and nutrition for losing weight. This is basic stuff, okay? Again, there's tools available for this. All right, let's talk about links. This is an important one. Here's what you want. You want other websites linking to your website. And the reason is because Google will look at this and say, oh, okay, if somebody else thinks that your website is important enough to link to, then that's a good sign that this is an important website, and therefore will tend to push you up in the rankings, okay? Now, you got to be careful with this. There's something called link farms. A link farm, you may have received emails for this. It's a company that says, hey, we can get you 400 quality links for $89 or some low price. And what they're going to do is they're going to go out to a bunch of bogus bullcrap websites, and they're going to put a link on that website, and they're going to link it to your website. And the idea is that Google will see all these links coming into your website, and they'll say, wow, this is fantastic. Look at these 400 links coming into this website. Here's what you got to know. Google's not that stupid, not even close to that stupid, okay? For links, you've got to look at a couple of things. Number one, motivation. Why is that link coming into this website? Is it editorial? Is it being linked from a source that is credible and that has some relevance to your company? Or is it manipulated like these link farms that I just talked about? Importance. How important are the linking sources? If you've got the USA Today linking to your website, that's more important than if, you know, Joe's Crab Shack is linking to your website. What if you have the local Better Business Bureau with a link to your website? What if you are a recipient of the Top 500 award from Qualified Remodeler, and that links through to your website? See, this is important links. This is what Google wants to know. How is the link built? Google's going to take a look at the page that is being linked from and the page that are being linked to, and it's going to make sure that there's a relevance, that they have the same type of content. If it sees that there's a web page over here about kangaroos, and it's a link farm web page that's designed strictly to drive links to your website, and it's about kangaroos or nothing or something weird, and it's coming into your website to a page that has a topic about vinyl siding, Google's going to look at that and say, why is this page even linking to this page? It doesn't make any sense. And then that algorithm's going to kick in and it's going to penalize. Penalize. That's what algorithms do. They penalize. Because the true SEO foundations are built on things that are healthy, natural, and simple. Content, keywords, and good links. If you try to manipulate any of these things, it doesn't work, okay? Social media. Now, we're not going to talk about social media in detail, but I want to give you just a couple basic concepts, and then we're going to hear from some of our sponsors, two more of our sponsors, okay? After we hear from our sponsors, do not hang up on this webinar, because I'm going to tie this all together in a way that you understand. I'm going to show you some stuff that's extraordinarily important, okay? So for SEO, for social media, for remodelers, please just do Facebook. If you have other things, that's okay, but focus and concentrate on Facebook. There's a lot of reasons for that. I won't go into them right now. Don't count on social media to be a major driver of leads and sales. That's not its job. Its job is to get links back to your website. It's really just a link mechanism. Now, if it does help facilitate people knowing and liking your company, fantastic. Rule number one of posting, interesting and relevant. Frequency, 2 to 5 times per week is more than enough for a remodeling company. You don't want to show up in somebody's news feed 17 times a day. They'll get sick of you and they'll quit you. Have links to your site in at least half of your posts. If you're using content from other sites, create a blog posting on your site that links to it. So in other words, don't miss the opportunity to link to your website. Let me show you some good Facebook post for a window company. We want to finance your next $250 Macy's shopping spree. If you love Premier Windows, earning your Macy's gift card will be easy. Details here. Click. Goes to the website. Then there's a promotion on the website about that. Special Facebook-only sale today. 30% off any window. No minimum purchase required. Details here. Goes to the website. I don't recommend running sales a lot, but occasionally it's okay. Our newest employee, Samantha Cook, has a very unusual talent. You won't believe this photo. Now, this is interesting. This isn't necessarily even about windows, but it's an interesting curiosity-based posting. Don't say, we have a new employee, Samantha Cook. Say she has an unusual talent. What is it? Look at this photo. It'll make people want to click and link. The more people click and link, the more Google's going to look at that and say, hey, lots of people clicked and linked. That's good. We made it 21 years in business. Guess how many customers we've had to win a free iPad? Enter your guess. Click here. Out of 1,700 contractors in DFW, 5 are listed on D Magazine's 2012 recommended list. We were the only window company. Details here. That would link to a blog posting on your website that links then to the D Magazine article. For a remodeling company, new stats out shows increase in home value for various remodeling projects. For the 5th year in a row, a new kitchen tops the list. Click here to see stats for all home improvement projects. Just completed the Johnson kitchen in Southlake. Check out before and after photos. You won't believe how much more light and airy the new kitchen is. Oops, another remodeling company bites the dust in the recession. Here's a link to an article about that. Check out Beyonce's new remodeled home. We can all dream, right? Details here. Wondering what the most energy efficient appliances are. So interesting, relevant content for posts, okay? Again, the main reason that you want to post these is for links that are generated that help your search rankings, okay? All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give away a couple of books, and I am going to have Judy in my office tell me who these winners are. Okay. Judy, can you tell me who the winners are, please? Just type it into the AIM panel, and I will announce these.
Sure, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Go ahead.
Sharon White with Charles White Incorporated in Jacksonville, Florida.
Sharon White with Charles White Incorporated. I'm going to guess it's Charles's wife. Just a guess.
And the other winner, forgive the last name, Dan Ryle with Old Town Bath and Kitchen in Alexandria, Virginia.
Okay, fantastic, and we will ship your books out today. So look for those in the next few days via UPS. Thanks, Judy, for that. And by the way, thank you, Judy, for everything. Judy is essentially the glue that holds everything together at MYM, not just these webinars, but lots and lots of things. She's our client services manager. If you end up doing business with us, you will definitely be talking to her. Okay, let's go ahead and move along. We are now going to hear from Bath Wraps by Liner Direct, and I've got Dave Wilson on the line. Dave, are you with me?
Good morning, Rich.
Hey, Dave, how you doing? It's been too long since I've seen you.
It is going well. It's a great summer in Chicago, and I'm excited to continue our sponsorship as well as introduce folks on the call to Bath Wraps by Liners Direct. You know, Bath Wraps is really a key to business expansion. Bath remodeling is hot, it's red hot actually. For the first time in a recent survey, homeowners indicated that they wanted to remodel their bathroom as their #1 project. It's the first time ever the surveys indicated that kitchens weren't #1. So bathrooms are obviously hot. Bath Wraps positions you as a potential dealer to really take advantage of that growth from the exclusive territories that we offer, from the hottest products including walk-in tubs. As America ages, the tub-to-shower conversion and walk-in tubs are becoming more and more important for folks. And obviously we've got a few more exclusive, including our lead gen program, which we're very proud about. We actually do lead gen on a per inquiry basis for dealers in their markets, have warm calls transferred right to their phone room, and then only bill on those inquiries that we transfer leads for. So we take the risk, the dealer gets the lead. If you're interested in more information on Bath Wraps,
Dave, I need you to sound a little more excited about that, because that is a freaking huge deal. I mean,
it's huge.
Think about what Dave just said. He said, if you're a dealer of ours, we take all the risk of generating leads, we spend our money on it, and we transfer them to you, and only if it's an actual lead do you actually then pay for, and how much are the leads that they pay for?
$75.
$75. Give me a break. That's no brainer.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Last year, 20,000 leads generated. Average marketing cost across the country was 8.5%. Pretty good data.
Yeah, and not only that, so that's good all by itself, but then when you consider the options within the industry, i.e. they don't exist, there aren't any other options. I mean, obviously there's other competitive companies that sell, the same general line of merchandise, and we could have a discussion about how yours is different and better, and I want you to, people to visit your website so they can see that. But on this one issue, which is how do you actually sell the stuff, there's no other competitors. There's nobody. So
that's correct. Leads. It's the best way to launch you. And if you are interested, please indicate on the survey, or obviously a visit to our website is always welcome, linersdirect.com/dealer, as you see on your webinar screen.
All right, great. I want everyone to know we get these sponsors not because they're the only people we could find. We get ones that we feel like are actually good companies to work with. And when I found out that Dave did this, it just cemented that. So thanks for that. And we will now hear from our last sponsor, which is Market Sharp. And I've got Jason on the line. Jason, are you with me?
Hello, Rich.
Hey, Jason. Why don't you give us a little bit of info about Market Sharp? Just so everybody knows, Market Sharp is my oldest and longest standing sponsor. We've been working together since 2005. So I have quite an affinity for this company, not just because they've been around a long time, though, but because they've got an unbelievable product. Why don't you give us a little bit of a overview here?
Sounds great. And thanks again for the opportunity to participate in your webinar once again. Now, Rich has given you guys plenty of awesome ideas on how to generate more web leads, but let's talk about what's next. So if you could change the slide for me. What happens after a web lead comes into your office? Obviously, your goal is to convert as many of those leads as possible into set appointments. And what I'm going to talk about today is how Market Sharp can help you with this particular area. And it all begins with lightning fast response times from the moment those leads come into your office. So let's talk about some stats published by Harvard Business Review. They examined 3 years of data across many companies who respond to web-generated leads. They actually looked at 15,000 unique leads and over 100,000 phone call attempts to make contact with these leads. And here's what they found. The next graph here on the next slide is going to show contact rates over time. What they're saying here is if you don't call these leads within the first 5 minutes from when they complete a web form and submit information to your company, your success rate at turning these leads into set appointments basically drops off the face of the earth. And we've got some more stats here on the next slide, and I get a lot of requests for copies of this particular slide that you're going to see, the next slide. And if you'd like one of these, feel free to email me at jason@marketsharp.com. And I'm not going to go over all these stats, but let's look at a few. Here's one. 78% of prospects convert with the first party to make contact with them. And another, responding to these leads, these web leads, within the first minute can improve conversion as much as 391%. And another, leads convert 22 times more often when contact is made within the first 5 minutes or less. So it's very key to contact these leads within the first 5 minutes. So those are some stats that they found on how to improve your conversion rate of web leads. But on the next slide, we're going to take a look at some stats about what's actually happening in these businesses. First, the average company makes only 1.5 call attempts to contact a new web lead, only 1.5 attempts. Second, the average company takes 44 hours to respond to web leads. And finally, 55% of companies don't respond to their web leads at all, which seems crazy. Now, I have to believe that this is an area where most of us can probably easily dominate our competition simply by responding to these leads more quickly. So let's talk about how this all relates to Market Sharp and how Market Sharp can help you out in this area. We've got a feature called Internet Lead Capture, and this was specifically designed for capturing web-generated leads. And these can be leads coming from websites, microsites, landing pages, or Internet lead providers. Many of you have probably heard of Home Advisor, used to be Service Magic, and that's what I mean by lead providers. So this feature automates the whole process. So when the lead comes in, it goes right into the Market Sharp database. You don't have to re-enter the data. Market Sharp can also send an auto-response email to your website visitor thanking them for a submission. It can also automatically create a pending phone call activity for your staff to call and set an appointment. But probably most important, MarketSharp can automatically notify your staff via email or text message when that lead comes in, so that you can immediately follow up with those leads and ultimately turn more of those leads into set appointments. And basically, this is the diet and nutrition, as Rich would say, for converting more of your web leads into set appointments. So on the next slide, MarketSharp certainly does a whole lot more than just internet lead capture. It's really a system that's specific to the home improvement industry. It's web-based, and it's really ready to go right out of the box. It can manage your whole business, from generating new leads, like doing radius mailers around jobs, tracking leads, whether they come from the web or offline marketing, scheduling appointments, doing nurture marketing campaigns, managing your customers, jobs, production, service, lots of dashboards and reports so you can keep your finger on the pulse of your business. It does a lot, and you can see on the next slide there's many more things that MarketSharp can help you with. I'm not going to go through them all, but if you're tired of using maybe spreadsheets or generic software programs or developing your own software to do these types of things in your home improvement business, then you really might want to take and check out MarketSharp. If you already have a database in place, we can certainly convert that data over to MarketSharp. We've got in-house customer support team that can help you every step of the way with the implementation. So if you're interested in learning more about MarketSharp, we'd just like to have a 10-minute call just to discuss what MarketSharp maybe can do for you. So if you want to check us out, certainly submit your information on the form at the end of the webinar today, or you can go to our website, marketsharp.com, or shoot us an email at sales@marketsharp.com, and you've got a phone number there you can call as well. Thanks so much for your time.
Okay, hey, thanks, Jason. Appreciate that. And just so everybody knows, this stuff is not expensive. It really isn't. There was in days gone past, you had to buy the whole software and install it on your machine, and it was quite expensive. But now it's all web-based, and it's essentially on a subscription base, and it's very inexpensive. So check this out. Not having it is really it's dumb. Okay, I don't know any other way to say that. Okay, let's talk about pulling this SEO together, and then we'll kind of hit into the home stretch here. So you've got to nerd code your website. We talked about that. Create great content. Make sure you're hitting keywords. Get links to your site. They're good links. Social media for more links. Then this is where that kind of all comes together. And I really want to make a couple of extraordinarily important points here, okay? What matters is recency and popularity, okay? So let's talk about concepts of volume, frequency, and recency. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sort of role play this. We've got 3 companies here that are all in the same city, that are all in the same industry, that all sell the same products, that all have just set up a new website, okay? And all 3 of these companies came in, and they nerd coded their websites, okay? So from a standpoint of Google looking at these websites, they're going to look at them and say, okay, all of these websites are about equal. Now, Google obviously has to rank these one above the other and one below the other, but they're going to be very, very comparable. Now, let's see what happens as time goes on. So let's say that happens upon launch of these websites. The nerd coding has happened. During the next month, let's say that the first company's website, they come in and they post an article, and then they post another article. These little icons represent articles. And then the second company with their website during that next month, they post an article, and they post another article. But then the third company, they don't post any articles. Well, here's what Google's going to do. Google's going to stop by and check on this website about once a month to see what's going on, to index what's been put onto this website so that it can start to develop these rankings. So let me ask you this. After the second month, the first month the nerd coding was done, the second month the first 2 companies put a couple of articles each. Let's assume that those articles were well written. They were based on keywords. Which of these companies is going to rank the lowest? And it's pretty obvious when we put it graphically on the screen like this. Now, let's say that during the next month, the first company posts a couple more articles, but they also create 3 links coming into their website. Maybe they went to the Better Business Bureau and had a link coming in. Maybe they went to one of their suppliers and had a link coming in. Maybe they went to a magazine that wrote an article about them and had a link coming in. The second company posts another article, 2 articles, but that's all they do, and the third company, again, doesn't post anything. Now, what do you think is going to happen now? And the answer is because of the volume and frequency of these website activities, Google's going to rank the first website higher than the second and certainly higher than the third. But here's what else is going to happen. Google's going to look at this and say, wow, this company, number one, they seem to be putting new things on their website with quite a bit of frequency. So Google will actually go back and start to look at this website more frequently. It might go back every 3 weeks, and then ultimately maybe every 2 weeks. Have you ever looked for something online, maybe when something topical, newsworthy happened, and you go online and you do a Google search for it, and you see an article come up, and it might say something like, posted 7 minutes ago or from 42 minutes ago, and you think, wow, how did Google know that that article is there if it was just posted 7 minutes ago? And the answer is that those news websites, Google knows that they're always posting new content, so Google is literally constantly going back, checking those websites and looking for content and adjusting its rankings accordingly. Now, in the home improvement industry, there's no need to be constantly adding information. You just don't have to be that good to outcompete your competitors. But look at what's on your screen right now, and here's what you'll see. The more you post and the more you link and the more you put stuff on your website, the higher Google's going to push you. Let's go one more cycle here. So the next cycle, website number 1, again, post a couple articles, and they get a couple of more links. And they also get a video, and they put a video on their website. They also have some online reviews that they've added to their website. They've got some social media links coming into their website, and they get one link. The reason this link is so big is because it's a big, important link. Maybe it's a newspaper article that was written about them in the local newspaper from a very credible local source about how to choose vinyl siding or why vinyl siding is inferior to James Hardy siding, or whatever the case is. And they've got this big link, and Google comes and looks and sees, wow, look, they've got more articles, they've got more links, they've got new customer reviews, they've got social media links coming in here. Wow, look at this big link. And it becomes a no-brainer for Google to rank this site higher than its peers. Now, the other thing that I want you to realize is that every time you add these things to your website, it adds to the total volume of things that are on your website. You don't just get what you added that month. You get the totality of what was added from the beginning. Meanwhile, the second website comes in and posts a couple articles. Maybe they've got some customer reviews. But the third, it's just crickets chirping. I'm here to tell you, if you've got a website and it's been nerd-coded and that's all you do, you're going to lose. Because there are companies out there, I'm telling you, there's a lot of them, and every day there's more, that are actively working this formula that you see on your screen right now, where they're posting articles, they're putting blogs in place, they're getting links, they're putting videos, they've got reviews, they're putting portfolios, pictures, captions, other links, and if you don't, I promise you, Google will push you down the ranks, okay? It's popularity, man. Look at this. This is In-N-Out Burger when they opened here in Texas last year. It was a big deal. Lines were back around the block. Cars were in the drive-thru for like 2.5 miles waiting to get an In-N-Out Burger. If you were trying to determine if this was a restaurant that people like or don't like, and you simply looked at the line, could you draw a conclusion that says maybe people like this restaurant? And if Google sees that you've got lots of visitors to your website and that there's lots of people reading, you're going to go up in the rankings, you're going to have more and more web traffic, and it's going to perpetuate itself, because one of the things that Google is looking for is what sites are being looked at, which ones are popular. And this is something that you can have control of by adding this kind of content and these kinds of things that I've been talking about. Okay, remember, natural success. If you're trying to lose weight, it's diet, it's exercise. If you're trying to get your search, it's simply the things that we've talked about. Here's some red flags that you need to look for from most SEO companies. And I say most SEO companies, I mean this literally, most companies. And in some of these, it's almost literally all of these things. Number one, they tell you they're doing SEO, but they never give you reports. If you're not getting reports monthly from your SEO company, fire them immediately. You should be ashamed of them and disappointed. They should be telling you exactly what's happening. Some of them use black hat techniques get you in trouble with Google. We already talked about that. Here's a big one, though. They don't understand real marketing. The content they create is manufactured to suit the keywords. So they find out the keywords, and then they manufacture this content, but it doesn't speak to humans. That's a massive, massive problem. A lot of times people say, well, we'll go hire these guys in India to write articles for us for $5. Don't do it. You don't want some guy in India writing an article for your company about vinyl siding. What the heck does some guy in India know about vinyl siding? Answer, nothing. He might know the keyword. He might research Wikipedia. He might do some online research and find stuff, but it's not natural. This is stuff that you need people that either are in your company and understand this, or SEO companies that specialize in your industry that can write intelligent content that makes sense to humans. And then here's the real one. They don't understand remodeling. The content they create is manufactured to suit the keywords. So if they don't understand marketing, and they don't understand remodeling, and remodeling for marketing, marketing for remodeling, it's not going to work as well as it should. This is a problem. This is an example of the report. I just pulled this yesterday from one of our clients. It's a 12-page report that we send monthly to all of our clients that we do SEO for. And it tells how they rank and how the keywords are working and areas of improvement and things that aren't working and things that need to be fixed and things that the client can be doing versus things that we're going to do for them. It's a 12-page report. If you're not getting this from your current SEO company, like I said, fire them. Keyword research. This shows how they rank in different keywords throughout from last year to this year. We'll look at this in detail. We don't have a whole lot of time. If you look at this, garage design, Memphis, Tennessee, we took them from 50th to 30th to 1st. Okay? Now let's talk very briefly about pay-per-click advertising. That's this and this. Okay? Remember we talked about that earlier. Pay-per-click, quick overview. It's the fastest way to start generating web traffic. SEO takes time for it to build up. Pay-per-click can be very quick. You should do this in addition to your SEO. Lead quality is generally lower than SEO because it's an advertisement and people know that. You'll get some weird traffic. Don't worry about that. I won't talk about it, but just know it's going to happen. It's an absolute no-brainer way to get up and going to generate traffic. Let's talk about some rookie mistakes. The first rookie mistake is that people don't understand the basics of how it works, and they try to do it anyway. This is like trying to repair your automobile's engine when you don't know how to use tools. It's just not a good idea. That's a big rookie mistake. It looks easy enough, but it's not. They don't have time to dedicate it to it. You've got to dedicate time to this. Think that you can rank high just by bidding more than your rivals. So if the average keyword for pay-per-click is being bid at $5, you say, well, we'll just bid $6 or $8 and Google will pick us. But Google's going to look at a lot of different factors. I'll show you them in just a second. And Google wants to make sure that people are going to find what they're searching for. People don't research the keywords enough. They leave keywords out. They use keywords that are too broad. Landing page inconsistencies, what people find on the landing page versus what they thought they were going to find based on the ad are not consistent. It's a major problem that people have. And it's just lazy. They don't want to take the time to create a good landing page. Platitudes, no identity on the landing page is a massive problem. Bad ad writing. People write ads that don't work well. Okay, these are some of the rookie mistakes. These are all things that we can help you out with. If you have any interest in doing business with us, we handle all of the above, creating websites, identity, search engine optimization, pay-per-click management. Google has rules for what they call a quality score. If you look at the top, the click-through rate, how many people click through to the web, from the ad to the website? What does the landing page say? In yellow, historical performance. How does this ad work? Various relevancy factors. Is the ad relevant? Is the content on the page relevant? Is the ad relevant to what was found on the page? Keyword relevancy. All of these things have to be considered for you to optimize your pay-per-click. If you don't, it's not going to work for you. You're going to spend money, and it's not going to work, okay? What we do for our clients is we provide reports. So this gives you an example of a recent campaign for one of our clients in San Diego. It shows that they spent $1,500. There was 83,000 impressions. 976 people clicked through and visited their website. 21 people called, and there was 27 what we call web events. This is where somebody filled out a form. So out of $1,500, they were able to generate 21 calls and 27 web events, which is about, roughly 50 or so leads, 48 actually to be specific. It shows a graph of the average amount spent per week versus the number of visitors that came. We also have a daily activity report that shows on a day-by-day basis. On July 5th, we spent $53.22 for 2,900 impressions. We had 46 visits. And then a unique feature of the way that we do this is we actually can have the system record all of the phone calls that come in so we can go in and quality control them later. We find out frequently that one of the major problems is that the calls aren't being handled properly when people call in. If this was our live website, I could go to any of these little green phones, click on it, and instantly listen to that discussion. You see one right here was 0 minutes and 0 seconds. That means that they didn't actually, it was an abandoned call. It didn't connect. But you can see here was a 5-minute and 51-second call. That probably means something good happened. We could listen to that. This is all available through the system that we use for pay-per-click advertising. So let's wrap this up. I'm going to give away the CD programs here in just a second. I want to just briefly go over with you how you can do business with MYM. We offer foundational marketing that you have to have in order to operate. It starts with your identity, like I talked about at the beginning of this webinar. Then create a professional identity-based website that converts prospects into customers. We do that. Then driving traffic to that site via organic and paid search like we've talked about today. Using mailing and advertising to grow after that. All of this is available through our packages for a low monthly payment. We have what's called the Monopolize package. In this package, we create your identity. We write the content for every page of your website. We build the website professionally, every single page. We do SEO setup and monthly maintenance. We do this for you so you don't have to worry about it. We create a mobile website for you. We do unlimited updates of your website. You just submit them to us. We manage your pay-per-click campaigns. We create pre-positioning materials, and then you can choose from a home show package, mailing packages, ad writing, logo packages, anything that you might need for your marketing. We make that available through this Monopolize package. What we do is we give you what we call bonus cash of $3,000 that you can spend on the packages that make the most sense, whether you need the home show stuff or mailing packages, following up with current customers or past prospects. If you need us to write ads for you, create a logo, you can use that $3,000 of bonus cash after you buy this Monopolize package. So just to give you an idea, one of the things that you could get with that bonus cash is a proximity marketing program. Well, here's what that looks like. It's got postcards and check mailers and testimonial mailers and flyers that you put in take-one boxes. It's got flyers that you can put on people's doors, a flyer that shows people how to use the program, job site signs. For new movers, we've got a new mover package that contains multiple postcards. Not to go through these in details, but we create all of this for you. It's all identity-based. Contractor standards guides, pre-positioning materials. All of this costs about 1/8 of what a decent sales guide costs you for a given month. If you place an ad in the Clipper magazine, what we charge for our package is about 1/6 of what a full-page Clipper ad would run you. If you run radio, the Monopolize package costs about 1/10 of the cost of a monthly radio buy. It's about $499 a month to have materials that will make a profound impact on your overall results. It's the best ROI that you'll find for marketing. Replace all your under-leveraged marketing with stuff that actually works. The package is $19.99 down and then $4.99 a month. Questions for yourself. How clear is your identity in your current marketing now? How many web-based leads are you generating a month? How much are you spending on stuff that doesn't work? How many good deals per month would you need for this to be a good investment? And you'll find that it's not very much. It's really very ridiculously inexpensive. So you can find out more about this if you go to our website at mymonline.com. On the right-hand side, you'll see a yellow tab that says Remodelers. Click on that. Click on Bonus Package, and you'll find a page that has all of this information about our Monopolize package, what's included. It's all detailed out on there. And then if you've got more questions, you can call us at the number that's listed on there, 817-756-6765. So I got a special offer for you today for those that have come onto this webinar. I know some of you have been hanging around and watching these webinars for a while. If you feel like it's a good time to finally pull the trigger, do this. Our Monopolize package, go look at it on our website. It normally includes $3,000 in bonus cash. You can use that bonus cash, like I said earlier, for home show package, proximity, hoppers, ad writing, radio, whatever you want. if you do the following today, I'll double the bonus cash to $6,000. So you've got more ability to get more marketing. We can write more ads for you. We can put a radio campaign together for you, more mailing packages, whatever it is you need. All you have to do is this. Email me in the next 10 minutes, me personally. Here's my personal email address. It's richharshaw@gmail.com. Send me an email with the subject line double bonus. Include your name, your website of your company, and your cell number. Not your office number, but your cell number so we can actually get a hold of you. We'll contact you today, and you have to purchase the Monopolize package by Friday. So we'll talk to you about it. We'll do an identity consultation. We'll talk to you about your business. And if you do that today, in other words, if you send me that email in the next 10 minutes with the subject line double bonus, then I'll give you an extra $3,000. I'll double your bonus to $6,000. But this is for people that have been maybe hanging around, you're interested in what we do, and you're just waiting for an excuse to pull the trigger. Go ahead and do this. Shoot me an email today. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a poll, then I'm going to give away the CD program. So the second poll is going to allow you to express interest in some of the sponsors we have today. So please vote right now. Which of the companies are you interested in, whether it's Monopolize Your Marketplace, Market Shark, First General, the Restoration franchise we talked about earlier, Bath Wraps by Liner Direct, Gutter Covers International. Please just take a minute and vote so that we can see what it is that you might be interested in. Go ahead and do that. I'll give you just a second here. Keep going. Okay, and while we do that, Judy, if you can be on standby with the winners. We'll do 2 winners of the CD program. Why don't you go ahead and read those out, Judy, when you pick them.
Oh, fine. Tim Coleman with Coleman Home Solutions in North Aurora, Illinois. And Tom Christensen with Enerjack. I don't know his city and state, but congratulations, guys.
Okay, and again, we'll get those out to you. Thanks, Judy, for that. I do appreciate everyone who voted in the last poll. That's very helpful to our sponsors to be able to figure out who is most interested in hearing from them. Also, I appreciate you being on the webinar today. If you'd like to participate in our special offer, just do me a favor, send me an email in the next 10 minutes to richharshaw@gmail.com, and we'll get somebody in touch with you today, and we'll see if it's a good fit. If it's a good fit, fantastic. If not, we understand that too. But I do appreciate you being on the webinar today, and well, I'll tell you what, I will take some questions and see if we have any questions here. Let's see if we have any questions. I probably should have asked that earlier. But feel free to ask any questions. Type them into the console if you're still there. I see we're at the end of the webinar, so if you have to go, I understand. But let's take any questions that you might have. Okay. I see Karen is on there. Hey, Karen, good to see you. We hired an SEO company. It's not really working. That's pretty typical. I use guerrilla marketing and utilizing the tips, not seeing any movements. Well, you probably need to bring in the big guns. Does Market Sharp have automatic emails after certain lead results, such as demo maybe? Yes, it does. I came in late. Will this be recorded? Yes, it will be. Thanks for the webinar. Oh, you're welcome, Allison. Can we use our existing website designer to implement this? What details should we request before we commit? The answer is I strongly don't recommend it, and the reason is very simple. I've not met a web design company that understands marketing. That sounds harsh and it sounds biased and all those kinds of things, but it's just an absolute fact. They don't understand this stuff. So we do allow our customers to work with their existing web design companies if they're absolutely determined to do it. But since we include building it into the package price, there's really no benefit to having somebody else do it. It actually costs you more money. And we think we do a better job, and we know for certain that we're going to write better content. The SEO is going to be consistent and work in conjunction with the website content. So I just really don't recommend it. I used to say it's okay, and if that's what you want to do, but I've just seen it not work too many times that I don't recommend it even a little bit. Let's go to the next question. We are having trouble getting Google to send us an updated address card. We've been told that this is critical help. Yeah, that's something that I would turn over to my nerds in my SEO department to answer that question. I'm not sure exactly how to make Google do that. I'm not the one that deals with them. I've got a cadre of nerds that do that, though. And if you'd like to send an email over, we'd be happy to see if we can help you out a little bit there. Explain what Facebook should do as opposed to our website. Facebook should certainly not substitute for your website. I've seen that in some cases. It's really just to, if you understand how Facebook works, people are going to like you as a business, and then you're going to give them periodic updates. I recommended 2 to 5 times a week. It's just a way to proactively stay in front of people's faces as they look through their Facebook feed, and that's what you're trying to do with Facebook, is just find interesting, relevant things to send to people 2, 3, 4 times a week so that you can keep top of mind. But more importantly than that, per our discussion earlier, you can have links now coming into your website if you set that up properly. That's the answer to that question. Next, I'm feeling brave and want to update my site's meta tags and header tags. Do you have a good reference? No, I don't. I'm not sure why you would try to do that yourself. I mean, this is kind of one of those things where, yeah, you can fix your own air conditioner if it breaks, but you might electrocute yourself in the process. It's going to cost you a little bit of money to call somebody out to do it. I mean, unless you're nerdy in the regards of you know how to do that kind of stuff, I just wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. I'd leave it to a professional, okay? So if you're feeling brave enough, you know, great, but in terms of, hey, do I have a reference? No, I really don't. Thanks for the question, Carrie. Next question. From the time a program is implemented, how long before we can see results? For an SEO program, it's going to take anywhere from about 2 to 6 months to see some good traction. But, here's the main thing you got to understand. It's going to be heavily dependent on where you are and what you sell. If you're a window company in Chicago, believe me, there's 75 other companies that are trying hard and are competent to get this done. So it's going to take more time. If you're sitting in San Angelo, Texas, and you're one of 4 window companies, it's going to be quicker. Okay, so there are some caveats to that, but generally speaking, it's about a 2 to 6 month deal, and within a 12-month period of time, you should be ranking pretty well. Again, with the caveat of extremely hyper-competitive large cities. Okay. Next, how can I access the recording of this webinar? We'll send you a link later on. Next, Drew says, how can I make sure our SEO company does the nerd coding correctly? You know, that's just a tough question. They're going to tell you they did it right no matter what. I'm going to take a step back and answer this question, because everything I say sounds biased. Well, I just want you to do business with me. Let me tell you just quickly. We used to be an education and training company. We didn't even do this stuff. I got so fed up with my customers who were involved in my training getting screwed by companies that sucked that I said, you know what, we're going to take this on and we're going to create a company that actually specializes in this industry, that knows how to do this stuff, and is going to do it right. So I have a bias against other companies. The only reason I got into doing SEO and building websites and creating content for companies is because there was no viable solution for me to send them to. So I'm very skeptical of any other company. I've just had too many bad experiences with them. So I look at that, Drew, and I say I wouldn't even fool with it, because even if they code it right, you still have to do the ongoing maintenance, and they're probably not going to do that right. So, and by the way, what does your website look like? Does it have identity? Does it have the conversion tools? And the answer to all of the above is probably no, no, and no. So, you know, you're building this house of cards. Even if they did the nerd coding properly, it's such a one dimension of a larger thing that you're trying to accomplish that I would rather have somebody do it holistically. And honestly, I don't trust anybody to do it except my own staff. That's my opinion. Which email address for the nerds? I don't know, just send it to the same one. I'll forward it to the right person, Eric, the one that's on the screen right now. Does your company have specialists that work with each individual company that understands the marketing for that company? Yes. In fact, that's the only way that we do it, is we work with each individual company. We don't have a blanket solution. We're not into cookie cutter stuff. We're into your company. Next, have you worked with kitchen and bath designers? Yeah, about 1 million of them. Next, when using pay-per-click, what's a good conversion rate from the landing page? I don't know. I'd have to go ask my people. I don't actually know. I don't know. I'm just going to claim ignorance on that one. I'm not going to try to pretend like I have an answer that I don't. Next, should we spend the time on social media? Should we spend the time on social media other than Facebook? I don't recommend it. Facebook. Since you asked, and since you're the last question, Samantha, I'll give you a quick answer on this one. Facebook is where the majority of your prospective customers are hanging out. They're not hanging out on Twitter. Some of them do, I know. Twitter is a young person's game. Instagram is a young person's game. Okay, I think 65% of all Tumblr users are under 35 years old. So Facebook, though, is being utilized by your prospective customers, people in the 35 to 65 demographic, and they're using it to communicate and stay in touch with people that they genuinely want to stay in touch with. So you could launch a program for Twitter. You could launch a House program or a Pinterest program, and none of these are going to be bad. They're just going to take time. And it's time that I would probably rather spend doing something that's going to have more impact. These people can also follow you on Facebook, so it's not like they have no ability to follow you. If I were a high-end kitchen and bath remodeling company, I might consider House, I might consider Pinterest, but really Facebook is going to be good enough for most needs. Okay, so that's it. I've answered every question, and I guess there's no more. So thanks so much for participating. Oh, what do you think of Angie's List, Bill asked, and the answer is I think it's great, except it has one major flaw. The only people that can participate in it are members, and it's a very small percentage of the population. So all the reviews that come from Angie's List are fantastic for other Angie's List members. So I recommend it because the people that are loyal to it are very loyal to it, and their recommendations go a long way. But you can't just sit on Angie's List and think that it's going to do the job, because 90-something% of your prospective customers don't have access to it and won't use it, and it doesn't matter to them. So use it. It's good for the ones that do have it, but for the ones that aren't on it, it's not going to be any good. Okay, that's it. That was the last question. No more last questions. Okay, thanks so much, y'all. We'll talk to you later. Bye now.
The organizer has ended this